Hey,
Hi!
good to see you again.
I'm so excited to talk about what we're going to talk about.
I know. And what are we going to talk about?
Okay, we are going to discuss The Night and the Moth, and we have a lot to say. So I'm super excited about it. But first, we have to tell you about the cutest bookstore that we went to.
Yes. And it was called Bookmarked. And it was a Saturday, and we just decided, hey, let's go check out. There's some bookstores we haven't been to. And I'm like, oh, we found this one online, Bookmarked. And
In
we went,
Trustful, Alabama.
Trustful, Alabama. So if you're coming through, and what was your first impression?
Well, it's funny because I went up there a couple weeks prior and went to, there's another used bookstore that's like 2 minutes away from Bookmarked. And I had no idea that it was there. So when you sent me that link and you're like, you want to go to Trustful? I'm like, yeah. So I was, first of all, shocked that I didn't know from before. And literally, right when we pulled up, we were in the same car, and I looked at Jenna. She was driving. And I was like, this is going to be fun. I can tell just from the outside. The aesthetic is super cute. And we walked in and were greeted by
The owner,
the owner.
Dana. And
So
they own
they're delightful people.
so nice. We didn't get to meet Beth. So Dana and her daughter Beth own Bookmarked, and they have it set up so cute. There's like different rooms. Like one is like a paper room, one is like the puzzle room. They have lots of puzzles. So if you're a jigsaw puzzler, guilty.
Mm-hmm.
And the kids room with all the kids books and that little nook.
Yeah.
So cute.
Well, and they were so generous and kind to us. And when we went in, we were like, hi, we're like not influencers, but we're going to, is it okay if we film in here? And she was so nice about it. And in fact, they are opening another section of their space for people to come in and read, work on their laptops. And we went in there and we were so excited because it's so cute. They like, one of the walls is just completely covered in book pages. They had the cutest setup for us to sit and chat. And we actually did film there, but as we're learning, because we're new to this, it was too echoey. So we didn't know that, but so we're refilming this. But we just had to talk about Bookmarked and how lovely the people are there. If you go there, you will find your people. We spent probably 45 minutes just, have you read this? Have you read this? It was so fun.
Just talking to them. And they have all kinds of events. They have different book clubs. So if you're in the area and you're looking for a book club, they have
fantasy book club,
romantasy,
and
they have
like a
literary fiction and different events. In fact, I'm really excited. They're doing like a Gilmore Girls event next month in October, which it's on my calendar. We have to go.
Yes.
So anyhow, that's our little spiel for Bookmarked. Definitely go see it if you're in the area or if you're coming through, because it's not far off the interstate. So
yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Rachel Gillig's The Night and the Moth is the subject today. So do you want to give a synopsis, or do you want me to?
Well, I'll start.
Okay.
But I'll start because I kind of made Jenna read this because I was so excited about it. Mainly because I love her One Dark Window, Two Twisted Crowns duology. Excellent. Going into spooky season, excellent. Like totally recommend. 10 out of 10. So I was really excited for this. This is her third book. And honestly, it's just so, I love the cover. The cover art is incredible. The sprayed edges, this is the Barnes and Noble edition. So I was like, I'm going to read this. This is going to be a book trophy for me. So I was really excited when Jenna was willing to read it with me. But so our main character who is featured on the cover here, her name is Six, and she is a diviner. And in the magic system in this book, essentially what a diviner is able to do is kind of do readings for people about what crops to plant, how to invest their money. And so that's what her job is. Do you want to explain how she got to be a diviner?
Yes. So she was what's called a foundling, which is just an orphan. She didn't have any family or anything. And so the abbess, who is in charge of Ailing Abbey, collects, for lack of a better word.
Well, I think it's kind of almost like adopts,
Adopts, yeah,
but then they have to be diviners.
collects.
Yeah.
So these foundlings and takes them to the abbey where they are trained to be diviners. And the abbey, there is this spring, and it's described as having a smell of like rotting flowers, decaying flowers. And in order to divine, they literally have to drown, so it's like a near death experience. They come back to life, they don't die, but they drown.
Yeah.
And it's like going through these different, like Dante's Inferno has the different levels of hell. They have to go through these different rooms to see omens, and these are tied to omens in the real world that each have like a special magical object. And then the story starts with this entourage showing up with a brand newly crowned king, King Benji, who's very young. He's described kind of as a boy king,
Mm-hmm.
and his knights. And the purpose is that they're going to get a divination to say whether he is blessed by the gods, the
Mm-hmm.
omens, the whoever, um, and or not. So that happens. There's some interaction with the knights. And then the real story kicks off when six, because there are six diviners, each one is just goes by a number, 1 through 5 disappear.
Right.
And then six is on a quest to find out where they went, what happened to them. And she goes with King Benji, his knights,
Mm-hmm.
including Rory. And his name is Rory Mendacious, which Mendacious means you're a liar. I think that's what
Oh,
mendacious means. So I don't know, but I
oh,
don't. But that, and
I
then
had no idea.
all their knights, and they go on a quest.
Yeah. So, and then to just back up a little bit to kind of explain, set this up a little bit. So six, all of the diviners have to be diviners for 10 years. That's their job for, being taken in and taken care of and given, respite and safety and all of that. So she's kind of a martyr because this, as we described, divining is a very brutal experience. It's not pleasant for anybody, and they really have no choice but to do it. And so, when somebody comes, I think it was when Benji came, it was
Yes.
supposed to be one of the other diviners that was going
Right.
to divine for them, and they were like, "Oh, I know, not again. I did it yesterday." And she's like, "I'll do it. I'll do it. I'll take one for the team," because she's essentially decided that if she's going to have to be a diviner, she's going to be the best, most devout diviner this world has ever known, and that's important for her character development later on. And that's not a spoiler. We're doing no spoiler sections right now. But yes, as Jenna said, some odd circumstances happen, and one by one, her sisters, and they really truly consider each other sisters. They call each other that. They're very loyal to each other. They're very kind to each other, and so she leaves and is going to go look for them and is completely out of character for her, and that's really the catalyst for the rest of the plot. So before we get into what we really want to talk about, which is the spoiler
Spoilers.
section, before we do that, what would you rate this book out of 5 stars?
I would rate it a 2, except for the character of Bartholomew, which we're going to talk about a lot here in a little bit. But he was a great character. If it weren't for him, it would have been a 2.
Mm-hmm.
But so I gave it a 3. And I will say, everyone had been talking so much about the One Dark Window, Two Twisted
Yeah.
Crowns, and now I'm afraid to read them since I didn't have the best experience with this.
Have faith.
Have faith. And to be fair, the world building was great, the magic was interesting, the concept was interesting, but for me, the reason I gave it such a low rating was, except for Bartholomew, the characters. I wasn't invested. Now look at this cover. Hold up that cover. Like, Six looks really pretty on this cover, but in the book, when you're reading the book, she's not described in a way where she's attractive or likable.
Yeah.
I just didn't like her. I didn't care. I wasn't invested. And so for that, it was like I had to make myself keep reading because I just didn't care about these characters.
Okay, remind me when we get to the spoiler section. I have something I can't say now, but about the cover and
Okay.
a little hot take. So,
Okay.
but yeah, I think that's completely fair. I mean, I understand. I do. I think that I will say I do think that the characters in the One Dark Window are more developed than this.
Mm-hmm.
So I can see that, and yeah, I think that's a completely fair rating. I rated it a little bit higher, um, because maybe I just like decided I was gonna like this book, so I was like biased going in. But I did like the characters, and I really did like her. I will agree with you that the male main character Rory is a
Yeah.
little flat, a little bit flat, a little bit flat. But I think that I would, and I'm tough. You know, it takes a lot to get a 5-star rating, so I think I would give this 4.5 stars. But 1 full star is for Bartholomew. I will pay ungodly amounts of money for her to write a novella from Bartholomew's perspective, because
Or
he's the
prequel.
or
With like his
yes,
backstory, like
yeah. Oh,
his
no spoilers.
oh,
Okay,
sorry.
actually, maybe now's a good time.
Spoilers.
Spoilers are coming. Do read the book. I think that it's a great book for book clubs, because um, I think people will relate to some of the characters in different ways, and it does spur for really great conversation. So if you're in a book club, read this one, and definitely read One Dark Window to Twisted
Oh,
Crowns.
and I will say, if you lead a book club, I'm going to put a
Oh
little
yeah.
plug for this. It's an Etsy shop called Vanilla Book Club. She does these great little packets for different books. Um, we've done this one, and we've done Silver Elite. She's even done a different book for us, but she has all these guides that have a synopsis,
Plot summary,
games,
word
questions, word
searches,
searches,
recipes.
playlists, and just good questions to keep the conversation going in your book club. So we'll put a link in our show notes, but Vanilla Book Club is where we got this, and you can just print them out, and
It's like less than $10, and
yeah,
it's an instant download, and you can print as many copies. So if you have a book club of 3, great. If you have a book club of 30, even better. So yeah, I'm glad that you brought that up.
Yes, thank you, Vanilla Book Club.
Yes,
We love your stuff.
And did you know that they one of our other book club, Rita, she messaged them and said, hey, our book club is doing
Blood Over Bright Haven.
Blood Over Brighthaven, will you make one for us? And they were like, yeah.
And
it's
they
so
did.
kind.
So we
Yeah.
love them. We're gonna keep coming back.
Yes.
And all you people who run book clubs, check them out.
Yeah.
So
okay, full on spoilers. We can't talk about the book
spoilers
from now on without spoilers.
So if you haven't read it, peace out.
Come back
after you've read it.
Okay,
I'm gonna ask you a question. Who was your favorite character?
well, obviously Bartholomew.
Yes, Bartholomew.
Yes, Bartholomew. Okay, so Bartholomew is a literal stone gargoyle that flies and speaks and is the most hilarious character I've ever read in any book. He's hysterical. And in the end a little bit tragic, but like he's a great time.
He made the book.
He made the book. And like I just think that that's such a creative character.
Yeah.
Okay, and so I know you felt like some of the characters were a little flat. Mm-hmm. I agree with you on Rory. I kind of slightly disagree with you on 6, but I want you to explain what didn't hit for you, and then I'll
kind
of talk about what I did like about 6, Sybil.
Okay, so 6, whose real name is Sybil, I just didn't find her very likable. If you've ever read a book or watched a show, like I have watched shows before where I literally didn't like any of the characters, and my husband's like, why are you still watching this? You don't like any of these characters. But I started it, so I have to finish. Sybil was like that. Like I just didn't, she didn't seem attractive or likable. She seemed very kind and loving towards the other diviners, but she wasn't nice to anyone else, at least
That's
for a
true.
good portion of
That
the
is
book.
true. Yeah.
And she was stubborn, and she was, I would say, in a way, she was a little okay, my Sunday school's coming out. She reminded me a little bit of like the Pharisees, a little bit.
Oh,
Like she
okay.
just held too tightly to this is how it is, and this is without, even when confronted with some truths. Like
Yeah.
she did grow,
Get
which
there.
I know
Yeah.
you're going to talk about, but I felt like it took her a while. Like she really had to suspend her disbelief
Yeah.
for a while. And I was just like, girl.
See, okay, that's like so interesting because I would literally summarize that the exact same way, but I liked it.
Okay.
I liked it, and I do agree. I didn't relate to her. Like I didn't see any of myself in her, and a lot, us readers, we love to be able to put ourselves into the story.
Yeah.
And I agree with you. I didn't see that, that element, but I thought that the character arc of her being so devout to her mission, if she's going to have to be a diviner and drown every day, she's going to be the best dang diviner that ever walked the planet, and she's going to take one for her team because her sisters, hated it, and so she was going to be like, help them. I don't know. And then she, like, to even leave the what's it called,
The Abbey.
the Abbey, was a huge step. And again, I mean, I'm skipping ahead. We have a little list. I'm skipping ahead. That was my favorite scene because she decided to leave and go find her sisters. And it was completely against everything that she had been loyal to other than her sisters. And because her 10 years was almost up. So in her mind, she's like about to be free, can go live her life, do whatever. And I just thought that was a big step. And then her relationship with Rory, who was kind of pushing her. First of all, she's wearing like a literal shroud over her eyes, in a whole garb. And Rory is like, hey, you're trying to be undercover. It'd be really great if you just like change your clothes. And she was like, I'm not going to do that. And then Rory wanted her to tell him her real name, and she wouldn't for a long time. And I just think that there's something really brave in that, of being somebody who's so stubborn and so stuck on a belief system, and then eventually realizing, and for themselves, like this isn't the truth, this isn't real. And I don't know, to me I just really really like that. So I agree with everything you said, but I just think I latched onto it in a little bit different way.
I mean, it was brave to change, but I guess, are you saying that it's brave that she held on so steadfastly? Because, loyalty is a great character trait, and you and I are both very loyal people,
Yeah.
but there's something about blind loyalty. And I wonder if that's what she's getting at with their eyes and they're covered. It's a blind loyalty that's what frustrated me, that even when she was confronted with things that it's like she literally had a physical shroud over her eyes, just like she did over
Yeah.
her understanding and her acceptance. And at that point, I thought that it's not brave to hold on to something in the evidence of its falsehood. At that point, is it not cowardice to not be brave enough to confront that what you've given your life to might have been a
No,
falsehood?
I completely agree, and I think that that's exactly it. And I think that people do that, and maybe that's why it was hitting so hard, because there's a lot going on in the world right now, a lot of conflict and stuff, and different ideas. But there's a scene towards the end of the book where she's standing, and I just could see this like a movie in my mind, where she's standing on a cliff, and she's fully, as much as she's tried to deny it to herself, she's fully like seen the truth, and she takes off her shroud, and it throws it, it blows away into the ocean. And I just thought that was really symbolic. I guess that's the brave part, because if you are somebody who's,
That's a great scene, by the way.
yes,
I love that
thank
scene.
you. I love it too.
I saw it in my mind too. So,
but
yeah.
if you're somebody who's like believes something, and you're being challenged and you're being challenged and you're being challenged, I mean, it's kind of human nature for us to kind of dig in our heels, be like, no, I believe this for 50 years, I'm not going to change my mind. So I just felt like that was such a great metaphor for some bigger themes. But
I can see that.
I can also understand why readers, though, would be frustrated with that whole process. Maybe I was just in a mindset that was like,
but see, this is interesting how we both kind of agree and we're seeing the same thing, but we're approaching it differently. And part of it, I think, my personality, I always tell my husband, like, most people in the world are just wrong. And I do
yeah.
not have the patience to go out and correct everybody who's wrong. So you just go ahead with your wrong self and be wrong. And I guess that's why I was frustrated, because I was like, I couldn't get away from this person who was clearly wrong
Yeah.
because I had to finish the book.
Let me ask you something. I read this book in, I think, like maybe 2.5 days. Like, it was zoomed.
I'd have to check my Goodreads, but it was not, I think it took me at least a week.
See, maybe that influenced how I felt about it, because I didn't have to stick in that phase for more than, like, 24, 48 hours.
Well, I just like, I couldn't make myself read more than a chapter or two. I was like, one more chapter. I'm getting there.
I hate that it was a slog for you. I do
It
understand,
was.
because some of the books that we read, I'm like, get me to the end. Okay.
Yes.
So let's
Okay,
move on.
so we talked about 6.
Yep.
Let's talk about Rory and 6 and their relationship. What did you think about their, because this was the romance between the two, that's sort of like the relationship that everyone's like,
Okay, if
ooh.
I'm being honest, the romance wasn't really romancing.
It wasn't, no.
If you're looking for a romantasy, for the romantasy elements, I would not say that this is number 1, because
He is not book boy for Material Girl.
mm-mm.
No.
He does do that fun trick with the coin, though. That was cool.
Yeah, but
That
like,
had
couldn't you
nothing to
just
do with the
hire
romance.
him for your party instead of romancing him?
Yeah, I did feel like that the love element was a little flat. I will say, in the her other books, not flat.
Okay.
The romance is it's good. But
It
yeah,
just seemed a little forced, don't you think? Like, they weren't enemies. They didn't hate each other, but there was no love lost. And then all of a sudden, it seemed from one day to the next, they decide they're,
undyingly loyal to each other. I do agree. That was
it didn't seem to grow or happen organically like some of the other better written books that we've seen.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay, what was your favorite scene? I already said mine, or my 2 favorite scenes.
I don't know. I just think anything with Bartholomew, I found myself like skipping ahead to like, I want to see when's he coming up again, because he just had some of the best quotes, which Aubrey's going to read you a couple of them here in a little bit. See if those make your top Bartholomew quotes as well. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, why don't we just go ahead and do that?
Let's do that.
Okay, so please excuse my poor reading out loud ability, but Bartholomew is hysterical. He makes these idioms like kind of wrong, and then 6 is always like correcting him, and he's like, no, I said exactly what I meant to say. And the dialogue in this book carried the whole thing, and Bartholomew was so dialogue heavy. So I'll read one. This is at the very beginning, and this is just sets the scene for just how funny his little quips are. So 6 is coming in to do a divining, and Bartholomew says, I washed the divining robes this morning. The gargoyle led me down the nave. On the final pew, 6 silk robes waited. It was an abundant chore. I am within myself with fatigue. Beside, I muttered, peeling off my clothes. Beside yourself with fatigue. It's the proper expression. The gargoyle's stone brow knit. If I was beside myself, there would have been 2 of me, and the washing would have taken half the time. And he just
can't argue with that. That's true.
And it's like over and over and over. At one point, he like is mad at her because she wakes him up really early, and he's like, if I am grumpy all day, I will not apologize. And I'm like, same, babe. Like, yeah, so his quips are hilarious. And then
the one where like they're asking, they have to cross this river or something, and they're like, 6, can you swim? And Bartholomew pipes up like, well, she's not so good at the swimming, but really good at drowning, which is really funny.
Yeah, so he really carried the story. And then this is big spoiler. The end, we find out his true story, and you almost, as a reader, I felt kind of guilty, because in our group text, I'm also, he refers to everybody as Bartholomew. So you're Bartholomew, The cat is Bartholomew.
Everybody.
Bartholomew refers to everybody as Bartholomew. And again, it kind of sets him up as like this silly,
Yeah.
stone gargoyle. But later you find out that he tells his story. And his story is that he's the original diviner. He was a little boy, and that the abbess took him and made him the original diviner. And they
But
don't get released after 10 years. They turn to stone.
well,
And he became the
yes.
gargoyle. He was a human boy named Bartholomew.
And I was thinking about this the other day. At the beginning of the book, when it's setting the scene and they're introducing you to the characters, Bartholomew's there, and the different diviners, like they're telling each other stories, and Bartholomew's like, "You want me to tell you a story or whatever?" And he kind of starts, but they always cut him off. And he was trying to tell his story.
Yeah.
And it's not till they get to the end, to like the second to last omen, who has just gotten, like you were saying earlier, it was just over it. She tells his story, and it's like all, and then Six asks him, because all those years, and he's like, "Oh, I've been trying
Was
to
it the
tell you this
second to
story."
last, or was it the Moth? Was it the abbess that tells? No, he tells his story at the second to last, and then the abbess at the end
Confirms it. It tells a
confirms
little
it.
bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, and I did see that Six, she did seem to feel bad a little bit, as much as Six can feel bad, but she did seem to feel a little bad that she'd never let him tell his story.
Yeah, because she just, like we all did when we were reading his character, we just thought he was a silly, not human. He just seemed like a sentient stone gargoyle.
Yeah, someone like brought some rocks to life, and it's
Right.
not the smartest tack in the
Well, and there's
toolbox.
other gargoyles too in the story that are mean and nasty, and like when they're trying to escape the at the very beginning, they're chasing them, and Bartholomew's begging Six, like, please let me go with you. So I guess we maybe should have thought, like, why is he,
And he's the only
willing
one
to
who can
leave?
speak.
I think the other ones can.
No, he said he
Oh,
was the only one who could speak. In fact, they never called him by name, and they would say the bat-like gargoyle, or the gargoyle who could speak, the speaking gargoyle. So
maybe that's why he called. That must have been why he called everybody Bartholomew, so he wouldn't forget his own name.
yeah.
It's very tragic, actually.
So we talked about the omens. We talked about our favorite scene. What's the last question?
Biggest takeaway, and would you recommend this book?
Um, would I recommend this book? I'm sure there are a lot of people who would enjoy it. I would not recommend it if it's your first Rachel Gillig book, because, like I said, now I'm afraid to read her other two, because I'm like, ugh. But it was interesting. Would I read the next one? I probably will have to.
Bartholomew.
I know, Bartholomew. I'll read it with you. Hopefully, maybe it'll be one of those where it gets better.
Yeah, yeah.
So, what about you?
I would recommend it. I would recommend it as a fantasy book. I would recommend it with some caveats. I would say if you are a person who reads romantasy and you want like good yearning romance, this isn't going to be like the number one. There's others that I think probably do that better. Um, I also think that sometimes with fantasy, I get really tired of being stressed out the whole book. And the omens, we kind of really only touched on this, but on their quest, they go and collect items from the omens. And essentially, in order to take them back or take them, they have to beat the omens at kind of their own game.
Yeah.
And I was never stressed that they weren't going to win, and maybe that's a bad thing for some people, but for me in this instance, I was reading it over the weekend. I didn't want to be freaked out, stressed out, need to stay up till 2 a.m. to like know the next scene. I liked that for this one. I liked that it was just, I'm reading the story, but I'm not like crazy stressed like some of these other books, that we read.
Mm-hmm.
So I would recommend it, but I would tell people that are fantasy readers, I would tell them those two things.
Yeah.
But I think it's great, and I think it's a gorgeous book trophy. And the thing I wanted to come back to is when we're talking about people changing, I literally think that the book cover is representative of that. where, and I'll hold this up again, but see how she still has her shroud on, but she left being the moth and became kind of her own knight. And she does put that on at the end.
That's true. She does. Yeah.
So this is, just showing the two different outfits that she's got on and the change. But
That's true.
it's a beautiful book cover. So I don't know. It's a book trophy.
Because
I
it
loved
is true that reading books and buying books are two different hobbies.
Yeah,
And we have them both.
we do have them both.
So, well, good. I mean, I have to say that my favorite part of this book may have been all the conversations with you
Mm-hmm.
and with our book club, because I will say one thing for this book, it really sparks good conversation.
Yeah.
And I always like that. That's one of the things we
Yeah.
both like, right?
Yeah.
Is we like talking about books.
Well, and our little book club is, we like to disagree because it's, we go to these big book clubs and it's like a rom-com. It's like, it was good. There were some spicy scenes, good date, but then there's nothing to talk about. So
Mhm.
it's more fun when you can kind of like, what did you see? What did you relate to? What did you dislike?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I had such a great time. And we had such a great time at Bookmarked.
Yes. Thank you, Bookmarked,
Thank you,
and thank you,
Bookmarked.
Vanilla Book Club. Thank you, Rachel Gillig,
Yes.
for a book. And I have my duology is in the mail, so I will be reading it soon. And then we'll have to do one of these and talk about that, because we
Yeah.
haven't talked about it yet because I haven't read them yet.
I will absolutely reread them. I would also say, as far as would you recommend, these books are great for the fall. Just the scenes, the description of the ambiance, the description of the landscapes are very fall. Get your pumpkin spice and just dig in. So, yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you, Bartholomew.
Thank you, Bartholomew. And we'll see you next time.